The road stretched on, a ribbon of grey through endless green fields. It was a route we'd driven 100 times, a familiar comfort on our way to visit family. But today, something was different. There it was, perched on a low hill, a grand old house that had certainly not been there yesterday. A for sale sign, weathered but sturdy, was staked into the lawn. It was impossible, yet there it stood. My husband, ever the pragmatist, slowed the car. "That's new," he murmured, a rare note of surprise in his voice. I just nodded, a strange pull already taking root in my chest. We had been looking for a place, a fresh start, and this felt like a sign. The price was almost laughably low, a steal that should have been our first warning. But we were blinded by the prospect of a dream home, a home that had seemingly appeared just for us. So we bought it. Moving day was a blur of boxes and excited chaos. The kids, Leo and Mia, ran through the empty rooms, their laughter echoing in the vast space. While I was setting up the kitchen, I noticed something odd. Every mirror, from the small one in the hallway to the grand one above the living room mantel, was faintly fogged. I wiped them, but the milky haze returned almost instantly, clinging to the glass like a stubborn breath. Meanwhile, Mia found a small leather-bound diary tucked away on a bookshelf. She flipped it open, her eyes widening. "Mom, look," she said, her voice a whisper. "The last entry. It's for tomorrow." My husband David just chuckled from the other room, dismissing it as a prank by the previous owners. "Probably just a kid's game, sweetie," he called out, his voice muffled by the sound of tearing packing tape. But I felt a chill that had nothing to do with the autumn air. That night, the house settled into a disquieting silence. Just as I was drifting off, Leo came into our room, his face pale. "I hear something," he whispered, "in my walls." David, ever patient, went to check. Leo led him to the wall and pressed his ear against the cool plaster. "It's like knocking," he insisted, "and whispering." David listened for a moment, then shrugged. "It's an old house, buddy. Pipes make noises." But as they stood there, the lights in the hallway flickered violently, plunging them into darkness for a heartbeat before snapping back on. David checked the fuse box, found nothing wrong, and tucked a still unsettled Leo back into bed. Lying in the dark, I couldn't shake the feeling that the house was listening, waiting. The whispers Leo heard felt less like old pipes and more like a secret trying to claw its way out. I woke with a jolt. The digital clock on the bedside table glowed a stark 3:11 a.m. A sound had pulled me from sleep, the distinct trickle of running water. I slipped out of bed and crept to the master bathroom. The faucet was running, a steady stream splashing into the basin. But that wasn't what made my blood run cold. In the mirror, my reflection was there, but it was moving on its own. It was brushing its teeth, its movements fluid and real, while I stood frozen in the doorway. I blinked hard, my heart hammering against my ribs. And then my reflection stopped. It met my gaze, a slow, unnatural smile spreading across its face, a smile that wasn't mine. I slammed the door shut, my own reflection now staring back at me from the hallway mirror, wide-eyed and terrified. The next morning, sunlight streamed through the windows, almost chasing away the shadows of the night. A knock at the door revealed a friendly-looking couple, our new neighbors. They brought a welcome basket and warm smiles. "We're the Millers, from just down the road," the woman said. "We saw the moving trucks and had to come say hi. We haven't had neighbors in this spot for a very long time." I smiled back, relieved. "It's so nice to meet you. We were so surprised to find this place." David joined us, shaking Mr. Miller's hand. "We just couldn't believe our luck. Number 13, Blackwood Lane, right?" The Millers' smiles vanished. They exchanged a look of pure confusion. "Blackwood Lane? There's no house here," Mr. Miller said slowly. "This lot has been empty for 20 years, ever since the old house had burned to the ground." An icy dread washed over me. After the neighbors left, their words echoing in the sudden silence, David went straight to the briefcase containing our closing documents. He spread them across the dining table, his hands shaking slightly. He sifted through deeds, titles, and contracts. Nothing. It was as if the paperwork had dissolved into blank pages. His face was a mask of disbelief. "This is impossible," he muttered, pulling out his laptop. He typed our address into an online map. The satellite view loaded, showing our car in the driveway, the moving truck, and an empty grassy field where our house should have been. As we stared at the screen, horrified, the image of the house flickered and then pixelated into nothing, leaving only the empty lot. The house had erased itself from the digital world right before our eyes. As darkness fell again, the house seemed to awaken. It was no longer pretending. Doors swung open on their own accord, then slammed shut with a deafening crack. A cold draft snaked through the rooms, carrying with it the scent of damp earth and something else. Something like decay. Mia ran to me, clutching the diary she had found. She was sobbing, pointing a trembling finger at a new page. "Mommy, look," she cried. "I didn't write this." I looked down and my breath caught in my throat. There, in Mia's own loopy, childish handwriting, was a detailed account of our day. It described the neighbor's visit, David's frantic search through the documents, everything. It even described what would happen next, events that hadn't occurred yet, written as if they were already memories. The true horror began then. The walls, the very structure of the house began to change. The floral wallpaper seemed to ripple, the plaster beneath it pulsing softly, rhythmically, like the skin of a breathing creature. Leo, who had been cautiously peeking into the hallway, let out a scream. We turned to see him being dragged backward, his feet sliding across the wooden floor. The corridor behind him was no longer a normal hallway. It stretched into an impossible, dark infinity. His screams echoed and distorted, sounding both near and miles away at the same time. We ran towards him, but it was like running in place. The house was playing with us, contorting its own geometry, swallowing our son whole. His screams faded into a gut-wrenching silence, and we were left alone in the breathing, monstrous hall. That's when the horrifying truth crashed down on me. I saw it all with a sudden, terrible clarity. The fogged mirrors, the diary from the future, the impossible architecture. This house wasn't just haunted. It was a predator. It lured people in, learned them, and then it recreated them. It was a factory for replacements. My blood ran cold as I heard the sound of familiar laughter from downstairs. Peeking over the banister, my heart stopped. Down in the dining room, sitting around the table, was my family. A version of David was laughing at something a version of Mia was saying, while a version of Leo ate his dinner peacefully. They were perfect copies. And as I watched, frozen in terror, all three of them stopped. They slowly turned their heads in unison and looked directly up at me. No, not at me. They looked past me, directly into the camera, their eyes empty and their smiles fixed. Morning came, bright and deceptively cheerful. The air was still. The house was quiet. Outside, on the freshly cut lawn, a man hammered a new "for sale" sign into the ground. It was the same real estate agent who sold us the house. He gave the sign a final, satisfied pat before driving away. A few moments later, a new car, a minivan filled with a smiling family, slowed as it passed. They pointed, their faces filled with the same wonder and disbelief we had felt. "Look at that place," the mother exclaimed. "It's perfect." The car turned into the driveway, their happy chatter filling the air. Some homes don't wait to be found. They appear when they've chosen their next family. And this one was hungry again.